Let me get rid of this.
It looks like everyone figured out how to find the chat box. We just wanted to be sure. And for those of you who are not our speakers, if you would go ahead and mute yourselves. We do record these meetings for the people that can't make it, and it makes a big difference in the quality of the recording if we don't have barking dogs and lawnmowers and things in the background. Welcome. I'm Elizabeth Sams, one of the board members here at BAM. We're delighted to have you all, and I appreciate everybody who brought a favorite movie. We've all been missing the socializing part of having meetings, and actually I heard today from Dell that they will be opening soon, so we will be sending out polls and questionnaires to see how you feel about in-person meetings coming back, but we're eager to be in person at least some of the time again. And in the meantime, it was nice to at least trade a few thoughts. I want to thank tonight's program committee. It's a bigger, more ambitious program than we've done in a while, and it was a great committee that put it together. Althea and Steve Foraker, John Weldon, Dee Ryder, and Jane Kosit, who is now going to take it away and introduce our speakers.
Welcome, the four of you, for coming. This is quite an honor, and you're hardworking and much needed in our cities. There'll be four of you: Rachel McAllis, if I've said that correctly, Lori Richards, Leslie Oxford, Eileen Briggs, and you'll have 10 minutes. And then we'll have a Q&A at the very end of all of your presentations. And I'll introduce Rachel first. She's with Feeding Northeast Florida. She is the Director of Health and Nutrition, an adjunct professor at UNF. And this is sort of an umbrella organization. She's also the supervisor at Salsbacher for nutrition and the nutrition program director at Beam. Rachel, it's all yours.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. It is such a pleasure to be here with you all. Susan wanted to be here with you so badly, but she was unavoidably drawn away. So I am honored to step in her place and speak to you all. I would just like to correct a little something. Salsbacher and Beam were some of my previous employers, and I learned so much from both of those organizations. But I have since moved on, and they actually, both places have some wonderful people stepping in to fill those shoes now. So right now I'm with Feeding Northeast Florida and UNF, and actually a board member for Dig Local, very passionate about the beaches. And you know, I'm a beach girl, and I just love your organization and what the Beaches Activist Movement has been doing. I'm just very proud to be speaking with you all. Thank you very much. I have a little bit of a PowerPoint, and so wanted to share my screen if I could. So let me move my Zoom over a minute, and oops. I hate when that happens. So let me open up okay, share screen, and there we go. So you should be seeing this lovely little girl. Feeding Northeast Florida, we are all about food insecurity and advocacy in Northeast Florida. We are a little bit about us to start with. We are the region's largest nonprofit food bank and hunger relief network in Northeast Florida. We are the local Feeding America and Feeding Florida affiliate food bank. We serve the 1 in 6 people in our 8-county service area who are food insecure. And I always like to, at this point, give a definition of food insecure, because oftentimes we have misconceptions around this, or people don't even know what it really means. And the USDA definition of food insecurity are individuals who lack reliable access to sufficient quantity and or quality of affordable and nutritious food. So we often think of poverty and food insecurity as of being hungry all the time. But really what we see a lot are working folks who, my clients are fond of saying there's more month than money. So, you know, especially when you're a low wage worker, when you're that worker in Publix or at McDonald's, you are, by the end of the month, by the time you've paid for all of your kids' school supplies, your rent, keeping the lights on, transportation is huge, paying for all that. There's very little money left over for food. And this is where we step in to be able to fill that gap. And so I love this slide because oftentimes the food assistance is part of the food system that we don't often see or hear about. So how the emergency food system works is our trucks go out every day picking up food from retailers like Walmart, Target, and Publix. Sometimes we'll go to the distribution center when a semi-truckload of broccoli wasn't absolutely perfect. We'll pick up from we have a grocery store routes where we pick up. When think about when you go into the store to purchase some chicken, you want to buy the chicken with the furthest out expiration date. You want to get the stuff that's going to last the longest. Well, Publix knows that. So when they put out that new chicken, the chicken that is still good, still not expired, they know you're not going to choose it. So they pull it back and immediately put it in the freezer, which we and some of our agency partners can then pick up, and we bring it back to our warehouse, and our volunteers then sort through the food for quality concerns and divide it up to fulfill our orders from our agencies. And so that food that would have normally gone to a landfill, we can pick up, sort through it, and then here we have number 3, then we distribute it to our community partners, which would be our agencies, who then number 4, directly distribute the food to our neighbors in need. So if you think of how like a retail chain like Publix might work, Publix sources food from all over the country and the world, brings it to their distribution center, where they then take it out to the stores where then you go and buy it. We are that distribution center who then gives it to the agency partners, who then directly give it to our neighbors in need. This is a very busy slide, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of things from 2020. If you look up here in the upper left-hand corner, last year, 2020, we distributed more than 30 million pounds of food, which was an 82% increase over 2019. And if there isn't a statistic that tells the impact of COVID-19 in our area, I don't know of a better one. That equaled out to providing over 84,000 meals per day to 2.8 million people. That's a lot of food, and that's a lot of, and that we try as hard as we can, but the need is ever increasing, and it doesn't even meet the need that's out there. One of our key initiatives here in the middle that I'm particularly proud of is our Project Share. It was a immediate response to COVID-19. We paid through 11 different restaurants. We were able to pay the laid off restaurant workers when everything shut down and nobody could go out to eat. So these restaurant workers weren't getting paid, and the restaurants were having no money coming in. We were able to pay these restaurant workers to take food from the food bank, turn it into prepared meals, which we then picked up and distributed to our low-income senior housing facilities. where the oftentimes the food service shut down, or the seniors we did not want our seniors going out to try and get groceries and possibly getting exposed to COVID-19. We know that with COVID-19, not only age, but low income and minority status put people at increased risk for complications from COVID-19. So we were able to provide over 600,000 meals as an emergency source during COVID-19. And we were one of the first, if not the first, organizations able to come and fill in these emergency gaps. And that was only from March through the 1st of this year. So that was a lot of meals in a short period of time. We serve everyone: children, seniors, disabled, veterans. Hunger knows no bounds. Hunger knows no race, age. It hits across the spectrum. So I want to talk a little bit about our newest initiative, the corner markets. And this is a picture of one of our markets right here. These are 40-foot long grocery stores. They're mobile food pantries, and we are able to bring them into neighborhoods with high rates of food insecurity and serve individuals that may not come to seek our services otherwise, for various reasons, for transportation reasons, for just lack of, sometimes there can be some shame around wanting to seek food assistance. So we can, one of the things that I'm setting up right now is a series of small African-American churches. These tiny little churches in neighborhoods that have been serving the neighborhood for generations. And we're working with the pastors to bring this market, to pull up the market into the parking lot, where the pastor who knows the needs, who knows the seniors in his congregation who are really struggling, he can make appointments on these markets for those seniors, where they can come and shop on these markets that are stocked with at least 70% healthy foods. You see in the middle there is the produce. We are able to tell these individuals to go ahead and take as much produce as they need. And my staff is fond of saying, today was a good day. We had 3 cries and 5 hugs. People will, these seniors, it just brings joy to my heart. They will dress in their Sunday church clothes to come on these markets. It's an event. It brings not only brings food, but it brings joy into their lives. I was on there a few weeks ago, and a woman, I offered her as much yellow squash as she needed. And she started crying. She was telling me about how in her neighborhood, there's only a small bodega, and she really wanted some yellow squash. That was one of the few vegetables they carry. And she had her last $5 and was going to buy some, but it was too expensive. And it had some mold on the end, and she just couldn't bring herself to spend the money. And then here we come with this market and telling her she can take as much as she needs. It's a beautiful thing. To see someone get so excited over yellow squash makes my dietitian's heart flutter. These markets also, they support our prescriptive nutrition program, which is, we're partnering these markets with our area-wide system of safety net, free and charitable medical clinics to serve the low-income, underinsured, and uninsured patients with nutrition-related chronic diseases who are referred by their medical providers. On these markets, the clients will shop with nursing students and dietitians and dietetic interns on the market, being provided nutrition recommendations and getting the food to help treat their chronic diseases. And then we are reporting back to the physicians about the education and the food, and really looking at what kind of food people are taking, what kind of education they're getting, and what kind of an impact that has on their health outcomes. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this all shakes out, because I think we can really make a big difference with this one.
Rachel, I'm going to have to close you for a little bit, and we'll come back with some good questions. And I already see that you've addressed food deserts, and I can see the joy that you get from your work. but we will come back with questions.
I do have a tendency to get too excited and go on about what we do. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. All right. And I want to introduce next Lori Richards. She's Beam's Executive Director. That, oh, I see we have, okay, that helps with financial assistance, meals, pantries, and Lori is a skilled fundraiser and a strategic planner, and she works with the PACE organization for young girls. So thank you, Lori.
Thank you. And you cannot start sharing your screen yet. Can I, I'm not sure if you're going to share my PowerPoint, or maybe I can now. All right, let's see if I can get that up.
You should be able to.
Okay.
I can share it too, Lori, if you want, whatever.
Can
is
you see it
easiest.
now? I think we're good. I'm not sure how to get you all on. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you. It's wonderful to be with you tonight. It's good to see Rachel again. We do miss her at Beam as well. And I appreciate having the opportunity to share a little bit about all that's happening at Beam. I think I'm speaking to a number of supporters, so I hope there's a few of you that I get to share some of the new things that Beam is doing. And I want to say thank you to Susie Miller, who I think I saw in one of the little thumbnails, who's one of our active volunteers. She might have been at our Shedder thrift store today, so it's nice to be among so many Beam friends. I would think that many of you probably know that Beam was actually established by 10 faith partners at the beach. Jack Swan from Palms Presbyterian, John Hibbard, Father Kelly, Don Lynn. And I just sort of have this picture of the gentlemen sitting around a kitchen table or their fellowship hall, talking and sharing a cup of coffee and discussing challenges that they were having, maybe with people who were coming to the church door asking for assistance and not really knowing if they were providing the right support or what to do with people who needed more than just a little bit of money to pay that month's light bill. And so they had the wisdom to found Beam, Beach's Emergency Assistance Ministry, as a place that the pastors could refer individuals who were in need of that support, so that Beam would provide not just that transaction in that moment, but perhaps be able to address some of the underlying causes, make sure that referrals were there. Probably, as Rachel has said, if people have difficulty paying their bills, they're probably hungry as well. And so we have grown to be an awful lot of things that we do. We're quite a busy organization. In addition to the financial assistance that we provide, we also run the food bank as a partner to Feeding Northeast Florida. As Rachel has mentioned, we have 2 of our own bricks and mortar pantries, as well as other delivery methods, mobile pantries, and then other organizations coming to Beam to get food out of that food bank. We have rehired, after Rachel moved on, a registered dietitian to make sure that all of our food assistance programs are not just about providing a bag of groceries, but also making sure that our clients have access to nutrition education and make good choices about their menu planning, especially if they have chronic diseases where food management is an important part of their care plan. We have a beautiful garden, Grace Garden, where we have 65 raised beds that allows us to grow about 7,000 or more pounds of vegetables annually, which we can put into our pantry to make sure that everybody has access. That's really what's important, access to broccoli and eggplant and all the wonderful things that our volunteers grow. In addition to those services, we have a couple of programs that really involve developing a longer-term relationship with the clients that we serve. Our single parent program is designed for individuals, women at this point exclusively, who have found enough stability in their life, but are still living paycheck to paycheck, very underemployed, if not unemployed, but are really ready to make significant changes in their lives in order to change what that trajectory looks like. We also began just a few months really before the pandemic started, a senior case management program I'll talk about in a moment that became incredibly important to seniors who were isolated during the pandemic. And what you don't see on this slide is a new program that we are just launching, a workforce development initiative. And what's really important to remember is that all of those programs are really supported by the most amazing group of volunteers. There are more than 450 volunteers with Beam annually. More than 250 of those are individuals who come to Beam on a very regular, often weekly basis. Some of our volunteers actually will volunteer at the food pantry one day and at the thrift store another day. So they're actually doing 2 days a week in different positions for Beam. So we're very excited that Beam continues to be a very grassroots and very locally supported organization. As we kind of look back on what the past year has been for us, it has been dramatic, if not traumatic. We had a significant influx of individuals who had never needed to seek help from any social service organization before. 63% of the individuals that we assisted in the past year came to us because they had lost income due to COVID. We provided over $1 million to provide rent and utility bills for people that live or work at the beaches. And just to give you a point of reference, in 2019, that number was less than 350,000. So the need was astronomical and the community's response was incredible. Beam really is just a conduit of the community's generosity, and it has been humbling to see who those who had the ability help their neighbors. And we continue, even with this latest round of stimulus checks, we've had people that have sent that on to Beam to help somebody else that's in need. Financial assistance, as I mentioned at our founding, has always been a big part of what Beam has done. During the pandemic, we did everything remotely, but we're very excited that come June 1st, we expect to see clients back in our offices. It's so important for us to not just have an email or a quick phone conversation with someone who's sharing their situation and why they're in the predicament that they are. But when our clients can come in and our volunteers have the opportunity to speak with them and learn a little bit more about what's happening, that's how we know if they need a referral to the nutritionist, or that's how we know if they're a single parent that needs to hear more about our single parent program. And we're very interested in talking with people who might be prospective clients for our new workforce development program. So we have volunteers who review documents, meet with clients, and make all of those processes happen, as well as volunteers who really are our front desk and receptionists who make appointments for clients who are looking for appointments at our food pantry. Our food assistance programs, Rachel sort of talked a little bit about already about how partners to Feeding Northeast Florida collect food from grocery stores that might be about to spoil, but still have life in them if we can keep them safe and cool. We collected more than 1 million pounds of food at 7 locations, from the commissary at, up in Mayport down to the Publix at Sawgrass. We have 2 trucks that go out and collect that food daily, bring that back into our food bank and redistribute it not only to our pantries in Jacksonville Beach and Atlantic Beach on Mayport Road, but also to mobile deliveries. We were at Finnegan Elementary School today. We were at Mayport Elementary School last week. We work with St. John the Baptist Catholic Church once a month. We work with Neptune Beach Baptist Church. And then we also have organizations like Shabbat down in Ponte Vedra, or Ponte Vedra Presbyterian Church, the Betty Griffin House in St. Augustine, Hubbard House, the Habitat after school program that we hope will get back organized has come to Beam for after school snacks. So we may be distributing food by partners coming to us to pick up the supplies as well. That's that incredible garden that I mentioned. That's one of our board members picking beets. If you have a few moments in the next couple of days, come have lunch in our garden. It's at 850 6th Avenue South. We have some tables and we welcome the community to come. It is incredibly peaceful, and just to walk around and see everything that's growing there is incredible. We mentioned our nutritionist on staff who helps to make sure that we're encouraging people to make healthy choices in their diets. especially for people with chronic illnesses. You don't want people to have to make choices between paying bills and buying medicine. So if we can help mitigate some chronic illnesses, that can help people with their budgets. The senior program, as I mentioned, was something fairly new to Beam, just really before the pandemic began. We have volunteers who make friendly calls. We have volunteers who continue to deliver groceries to seniors. We do some home repairs, and we do partner with Beaches Habitat. If the job is a little bit too big for us to do, it might be that we become aware of the need for somebody to have a brand new front door or a wheelchair ramp if they're getting out of the hospital and going to be on a walker, just so that we make sure that seniors have the ability to live safely in their homes. I really didn't want to overwhelm you with a lot of statistics, but I was working on a grant request this morning, and I was looking specifically at what is the demographic of seniors at the beach living at the poverty level. And the new way that the federal government is sharing that, you might have been familiar with 150% of the poverty level or 200. Those statistics are a little harder to come by. The term that the Census Bureau has on their websites now is the poverty threshold. And there's a lot of factors that go into what that threshold is. Age is one of them. There's a different threshold for people over the age of 65. At the beach, and this includes the San Pablo zip code of 32224, it is just about 6% of our population 65 and older who are at the poverty threshold, which is just under $12,500 a year. So we know that there's a whole lot more people who might have a little bit more than that, who aren't even showing up in that statistic. And there are just over 1,800 people that are at that threshold who are 65 and living within the Beaches Beam service area. Beam last year serviced 203 of them. So the need is greater, and we're very excited that the senior program is one that continues to grow and that those services are expanding. That was my, I hit my 10 minutes. I mentioned our single parent project. There's one of our ladies who was able to get a Habitat home. So much of what happens in that program is about helping women who are ready for change, just build that self-confidence muscle, build those skill sets. Many of the women who start with us have never had a bank account. Just learning how to pay your bills using regular banking institutions is one of the first steps that we have. Helping our moms help their children understand what their financial situation is in an age-appropriate way can help some of our moms not make guilt-driven, spontaneous purchases that can really put their budgets into a spiral in months to come. I'm happy to tell you quickly that our back to school event will be in person in August, although it'll be a little bit light so that we can really manage the number of people, but we will be at Beach Church so that our students can have new outfits to wear to school and get new backpacks and school supplies. A lot of what helps make that happen are our incredibly generous supporters and our wonderfully successful thrift stores. If you haven't been there lately, there's a new item every day, and we'd encourage your donations as well as your shopping. And we're going to be very excited that we can be all back indoors for our Beam of Light Beach Ball in August.
Lori, very, very informative. Your outreach is amazing. And we'll send Susie Miller over to help you. How's that?
She'll be there tomorrow, probably. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Leslie Oxford. She's with the Mission House, which offers shelter, health clinic, donates food, money, and supplies, and serves hot food. Thank you, Leslie.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Leslie Oxford, and I am the Dell Volunteer and Development Coordinator at Mission House. And before I start talking about what Mission House is, what we do, how we do it, I want to talk about why we do what we do. For me, it's a very specific why. It's a person that I've known personally who has experienced homelessness. And everyone's path to homelessness looks different. I think the statistic is 1 in every 3 American is 2 to 3 paychecks away from becoming homeless themselves. And I think that's something that we've all witnessed this past year with COVID and the loss of employment. Homelessness is a pervasive issue in the United States that impacts us all personally, and has the ability to wreck people's lives. And it's not always what you think it is. And so I really, throughout this presentation, just think about how close someone you know might be to experiencing homelessness. Without further ado, Mission House has been serving the Beaches community since 1997, when a group of churches in the area were working with the homeless community and they decided to pool their resources. Mission House started as an actual house at 800 Shutter Avenue, where we're still located. However, we are more than just a soup kitchen. Some people think that we just give out meals to the homeless community there, but we work to empower individuals affected by homelessness in the Beaches area by providing food, clothing, showers, medical care, and support services with an avenue to self-sufficiency. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the programs we provide are crisis care. So that includes our warm meals, our showers, our clothing, but then we also provide case management, which allows for rapid rehousing. And really that's one of our primary goals, is getting our clients off the streets and into houses. And we also have a medical clinic that is available to our clients experiencing homelessness, as well as to clients in the community that are housed but are uninsured or low income. And then we also have an in development wraparound support program for everyone involved. All this being said, Mission House is a day facility. We are not an overnight shelter. In fact, there is no overnight shelter for the homeless community in Jacksonville Beach. It is a major gap in our care that we have in our community. And so all the clients we see are without housing of any kind. Our clients are individuals who really rely on the support that we have to offer completely. And we are, so for that reason, Mission House works to provide rapid housing so that our clients are no longer living in that state of unhoused, being unhoused and being in a state of crisis. But I'll get into that in a later slide. We can go to the next one. So our crisis care, as I said earlier, was meals, showers, and our case management. So our meals, we provide lunch 7 days a week, 12 Monday through Saturday, and on Sundays at 3. And then we have dinner Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. We usually per meal, we serve between 60 to 80 clients per meal per day. So we do have a constant need for volunteers and volunteer groups to come in and help support us in preparing those meals. Another part of our crisis care is showers. We provide showers, and that also includes clothing, toiletries, towels, and everything else that involved in showering. So our clients are able to come in for the 2 hours before each meal and come and get a shower and get the supplies they might need. We also provide case management. So every single client that comes through and receives a meal has the opportunity to meet with a case manager. Our case managers assist with everything from getting IDs, birth certificates, substance abuse treatment, mental health referrals, employment benefits, and ultimately housing. Next slide, please. As I was saying, rapid rehousing is at the core of what we do. And the last month, Mission House is able to help 22 of our clients get into stable housing. So housing is a huge part of what we do. Whenever you are without housing, you are in a constant state of crisis. And there is only one way to get out of that crisis, and that is housing. Housing first means that there are no requirements to obtain housing assistance except experiencing homelessness. The second any of our clients mention that they are interested in gaining housing, they get moved into our rapid rehousing program where they can work to get our clients housed. Once our clients are housed, we are better able to meet their needs and address the other ongoing problems. But until they get into that housing, those problems are only going to get worse, not better. So there's a progressive engagement that our case managers assess the needs of our clients monthly as they go through this process. Next slide, please. Thank you. And then our clinic, I mentioned earlier, we have a free primary care appointment only clinic that is open to not just our homeless clients who also are able to be seen at this clinic, but we also have see members of our community. It's for the uninsured Duval County residents who are citizens of Duval County and are over the age of 18. That was what I was forgetting. And we have volunteer healthcare providers in addition to one staff nurse practitioner. Our clinic is open Tuesday evenings, Friday, and Saturday mornings. We are always looking for clinic volunteers as well, but we are only a general clinic. We are not we can't do specialized services like CAT scans or something like that. But we are able to refer because we are part of the We Care Connect program in Duval County. Next slide. And now you're probably thinking, that's great. What can I do? And there are a couple options for how you can get involved. If you have a phone, a smartphone, you can just take it and scan it with your camera function. You can just scan it and it will take you to our website. And on our website, you'll find links to how to get involved. So how you can volunteer, and we have individual opportunities as well as group projects. Individual opportunities include working directly one-on-one with our clients, and group projects include making meals. We have volunteers 7 days a week. So there's always an opportunity to get involved there. Participate. Next Saturday, Mission House is having a Mission Market garage sale on our property on May 22nd from 1 to 3 p.m. Come buy stuff and just share the word. Also, and for this entire quarter, Sago Coffee is partnering with us. And so drink coffee at Sago Coffee and we get 25% of all profit. So drink coffee and go to Mission Market. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram so you can see what's going on with us and what our current donations needs are. And that brings me to the last thing, which is donate. We have indirect donations that we need. Right now, we're gearing up for summer. Our clients live outdoors. So sunscreen, bug spray, shorts, those are things that we really need right now, and they're only going to increase. And then also direct. We always are needing more cash so that we can afford to provide the services that we provide for our clients. And
Leslie, that is pretty comprehensive, and that was one of the biggest questions from one of our good board members. How can we help? So I'm going to use my smartphone and find out.
Great.
Okay, so our last speaker will be Eileen Briggs from the Salsbacher Center, which was established in 1995. She's the Chief Development Officer for the past 5 years. And the center is open 24 hours and it provides shelter and healthcare and meals. Eileen, welcome. Is she not here?
I'm not seeing Eileen in our list.
I'm not either. Okay. Well, maybe she dropped off or
Fell off.
But let me say this, we have about 15 different solid questions to ask. And the one that keeps coming up, and our presenters can jump in and answer if they wish. The one that comes to mind is the impact from the federal government's plan that just came about. Let me see what it's called here.
American Rescue Plan.
American Rescue Plan. How has that impacted your organizations? Rachel, do you want to take that on?
Sure. I'm not sure how I can specifically address. I don't believe that we've, as an organization, felt an impact from the American Rescue Plan yet. These things take some time to come through the pipeline. But we were fortunate earlier this year to host the vice president at our organization to discuss the
Right.
American Rescue Plan and food insecurity in our area, and how what they're advocating for, specifically the $15 an hour minimum wage, and bolstering and food assistance, child food assistance, SNAP benefits, pandemic EBT. We had the opportunity to discuss how a lot of that can really help our clients. And she was able to talk a lot about the elements of the American Rescue Plan. I cannot speak to specifically how that's impacted us right now. From what I know, that really a lot of that has not come to reach us yet.
Mhm.
I see. Okay. One of our folks wanted to know what the homeless situation. Can you address that?
I really would think that Eileen might be better. Beach's Emergency Assistance Ministry mission is really to serve those who do have housing. And we rely on Mission House to serve the more targeted needs of anyone who is homeless. I will say that while we do require a client to provide us with a lease to show that they do have housing, we did relax that during the pandemic, so that someone who had an informal lease, either living, renting a room from somebody more informally, we may have allowed for assistance for an individual in that regard. But I would defer to Mission House for a much more educated understanding of the situation for homeless people.
And I can take it from there. So Mission House has had a very profound impact by both your former question with the American Rescue Plan and the stimulus checks that have gone through so far. So it's a rather volatile number that keeps changing. So week to week, Mission House has been impacted differently. I would say 6 months ago, Mission House had 80 to 100 clients coming through per every meal, coming in to get case management and to get showers, and to was really heavily relying on the service we have to offer. And we've been working with that. And then within the past couple of months, with the increased support from the government and through other social services that the city of Jacksonville has been able to put together, and the really working to rapidly rehouse our clients that are at most risk for COVID, we've been able to curtail the number of clients that we have. In the past week, the numbers have started to rise again, but so 6 months ago, it was about 80 to 100 clients, and then this past month, it's been usually about 20 clients per meal per day. So definitely that is because of these the temporary stimulus checks that we have coming through to our clients, who they don't have large payments that they have to make, since they don't have a mortgage, they don't have housing. All that money is just going into their pockets. However, it's a temporary solution and it's not a long-term solution. So we really believe that long-term, our number of clients is going to skyrocket.
Jane, can I jump in before you go to one of the existing questions? I'm just, as long as we're talking homeless here at the beach, I'm curious, if they can't stay with you at night, where are they going at night? And also, when they are housed by you in your emergency housing, where are they housed? Do we have facilities that need to be bigger, and how does that work?
Right. So all of our clients that we are serving that are unhoused, they sleep outdoors, they sleep on the beach, they sleep in front of business fronts, they sleep in overpasses, they sleep
Nothing.
wherever they can find shelter, but it's not inside a building. So with our temporary COVID housing that we've been doing, our ESGCV, long acronym I know, we've been housing our clients who are at most risk for COVID-19 throughout the pandemic. And those clients have been going to hotels for temporary housing. Cheap motels in the area that we have partnerships with and arrangements with. And with our long-term housing or rapid rehousing, where we're trying to get our clients into apartments and to stable housing, stable low-income housing, there aren't places at the beaches for our clients. Most of our case managers are driving all the way to the west side where there is more affordable housing for low-income communities.
All right, thank you, Leslie. Let me ask and jump in with the answer if you feel you can tell us about the most innovative strategy currently being implemented by your organization. I saw a food truck that's going all over, probably to the food deserts, but what else can you tell me about?
I would like to share a little bit more about Beam Single Parent Project, because while the number of women that we serve in that program compared to many of our other programs is not as large a number, the outcomes are incredible and the opportunities for the participants are truly amazing. This program started about 2015. We have a cohort process where in the spring and the fall, a group of around 10 women start that program with intensive financial education, 16 weeks of weekly meetings, really understanding how to budget, how to manage your money. It includes parenting classes, as I mentioned, that really help single moms understand how to manage money with their children as well. What's really amazing about this program is that we ask the women who are participating to make a 3-year commitment, and better than 60% of them do get into year 3. And when they've had a couple of months of some early successes, paying down debt, seeing their credit scores increase 50, 60, 70 points, beginning to actually, even if it's $10 a month, build a rainy day fund. That's when we really see that our gals are ready to say, okay, I'm stable, but I'm ready for more. And when we have the opportunity to truly invest in educational opportunities, that's where things really get incredible. And for just a very few, literally 3 women, we have been able to allow them to leave their part-time $10 an hour jobs and study full-time as full-time students to be able to get a degree and move on to a higher paying wage. We have one who's a surgical tech, one who is at Wolfson Children's neonatal unit as a respiratory therapist, another gal who is just about to take her test to be a paralegal. We missed an opportunity to find a new scholar during COVID, but what we have done is provided earlier in the program, usually at the beginning of year 2, with tuition support and a laptop and a printer cartridge. You can't be a student if you can't print your assignments. And those small things that some of us may really take for granted are just really important and meaningful. And one of our participants, when I handed her this, $60 cartridge of ink with color, she said, I can't believe somebody cares that much about my schooling to help me like that. Wow. And this is an incredible program making truly transformational opportunities for the gals that participate in this. And what's really amazing about it is that it has intergenerational impact. And the gal I told you about who's about to become a paralegal talked about the fact that she was sitting at her kitchen table with her Fletcher junior and high school daughter doing homework together, because as the girl saw how much that educational opportunity was important to that mom, it made her think about her own education a little bit differently. So we're really excited about how Beam over the past several years has really moved from only transactional, which is so important. I don't want to say that it's not. You know, keeping the lights on today is really important, but those relational programs that we've been able to develop that really make a difference in why people need our help and really put them on a path to not need our help. And that's why we're so excited about the workforce development. We think we're going to be able to attract a much wider group of people than just the single moms in that opportunity to really help people be better employees and command better wages and not be in a situation of needing our help.
What an impact, huh?
Yes.
Wow, thank you. Do you get any money from Duval or Jacksonville, from Duval County or the city of Jacksonville?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about that? Either
Sure. We were very fortunate to receive a PPP loan. And then we also received money from the city of Jacksonville where they awarded, had an opportunity for a small business relief grant. So during the pandemic, we had wonderful government support. You asked about the city, the American Rescue Plan, and as Rachel said, that's taken a little bit of time to get to us, but we are involved as a partner with United Way and other social service organizations in distributing monies that were actually from the last relief act, which I can't remember the name of, but that was money that was allocated in November that is just reaching people now. So to Rachel's point, it can take some time for it to get down the road. We do also right now have a public service grant from the city of Jacksonville, which is specifically for rent and utility assistance. That's a competitive grant. We didn't have it the year before, so we do our best to see if we can apply for that annually as well.
I'd like to jump in here as well. Those public service grants are foundational for a number of nonprofits in our area. If you want a place to advocate for nonprofits when you're speaking with your legislators, your local legislators, talk about those public service grants. We receive those as well. They are foundational. Many programs depend on those. We also, from the city of Jacksonville, were fortunate to receive CARES Act funding, which was part of the city's COVID response.
Right.
And the corner market that you saw, the city of Jacksonville funded the construction of one of those corner markets for us. And we are contracted with the city for 3 years to serve a certain geographical area that is one of the most needy in our area. And then once those 3 years are completed, that market is then all completely our own to take wherever we would like. So not that the city couldn't do more, but you know, they are helping. They are helping, but you know, they could always do more.
Yeah, and to add to that real quickly, Mission House has received funding from the city as well. The emergency housing services with COVID relief, or ESGCV housing case manager positions have both been funded by Duval County grants that address housing insecurity during COVID. And then also with everything that has happened downtown with the homeless community, Mission House has worked with the bridge shelter that was downtown. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with that. It's a longer story. If you want to hear more about it, we can talk about it some other time. But Mission House was having our case managers go and assist the city with rapidly housing all of the individuals experiencing homelessness downtown as well.
Well, I think you'll find that BAM is very aggressive, writing senators and governors, and we just have our Nancy Stats just started letters to the editor committee. So you're talking to the right people, and we'll help you all that we can.
Janet, may I just quickly, because I'm remiss in not mentioning that the city of Jacksonville Beach is our landlord, and they waived our rent during
Wow.
the pandemic, and we also administer funds that come from the city of Jacksonville Beach to help pay Beachers Energy customer utility bills, and then we also do receive a contribution from the city of Atlantic Beach as well.
Okay. All right.
I'd like to jump in here just a minute, if I might. Lori and I have worked together, and I'm fortunate enough to have a position with Beaches Habitat for Humanity. And when I first took the job, the first person I went to was Lori, because I'm very little experienced in the area of nonprofits, and asked what she saw as the greatest need in the community right now. And she mentioned that it was critical home repairs for low-income senior citizens. People who'd been in their homes for a long time, probably paid the mortgages off a long time, but now find themselves living on a very reduced income and were unable to make the repairs on their homes that kept them safe and healthy. And she gave me a couple of examples. So we've been able to, at Beaches Habitat, to launch a program to provide those critical home repairs using our experienced construction staff. And it's amazing what's out there. Lori knew so much more than I did. We go into homes where they haven't had heating or air conditioning in their home for 2 years. They have doors that won't lock. They have leaking roofs that also affect the electrical wiring in their homes. Just situations that are unheard of, that most of us don't think about. So the reason I mention that today is let you know that there are partnerships out there between nonprofits here at the beach. They're really making an impact, and we are lucky here to be able to do that.
Thank you, Judith. Sometimes this is a hard question, but how did you find the passion for your jobs? What led you to this field of helping others? Were you affected yourself personally?
I'll start with that. I actually grew up like many of our clients. I grew up food insecure. I am literally a coal miner's daughter from Pennsylvania, really. And I think to this crowd, I can say the words government cheese, and you may know what I'm talking about. You know, many of my coworkers have no idea what government cheese is, and you know that was a foundational part of my diet growing up. And I still remember my mother waiting in those lines back then, and it was humiliating. And she would have to bring us girls with her. And I remember her crying. And it really had a profound impact on what I chose to do for a living, and where I have found myself. And you know, having worked for Salsbacher, and I actually as a student worked closely with Mission House as well. I can honestly say one thing I know that we all have in common is that we have a focus on bringing dignity to the act of receiving assistance. It is, we do the best we can to make it as no longer that shameful experience. We can't always be that way, but we do the best we can to alleviate that, because you know, in reality, it's not just your stereotypical poor person on the wrong side of the tracks. It's your neighbor. It's your neighbor who has all their money in their house and their nice car, and you know, is barely making ends meet. You know, keeping up appearances, but in reality, the things are not as good as they seem. So You know, it is, that's what it's all about for me.
Rachel, my grandfather was a coal miner in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure my dad went hungry many.
Yeah, it's a small world.
May I ask, and then I'll turn it over to Elizabeth, but what's the hardest part of your job?
So I'll go ahead and start. First, I'm going to answer the previous question and then I'll go to the second part.
Okay.
So for the previous question is why I serve the way I serve and what's my why. And my why is my younger brother, who for majority of his childhood experienced homelessness and was in and out of foster care. And so while he is not currently homeless and experiencing homelessness, it is something that I know every time I work with a client, I see my younger brother staring back at me, regardless of what they look like, how they're acting. I know that that could be my younger brother, that could be me, that could be someone I know and care about. And the fact of the matter is, all of our clients are someone cares about. And so that is the hardest part, is knowing the pain and the struggle and the fear that our clients go through, and knowing that whatever we're doing to mediate their stuff and ameliorate their sufferings isn't going to be enough, that there's not going to be enough until they gain housing. And so that is the largest struggle.
And for me, I have been a Girl Scout since I was 6 years old, and I learned about service to others at a very young age. And my Girl Scout time as a young woman was very important to me, and my very first opportunities for community service that were so meaningful. That's sort of where my passion grew from. And I think too that I just had the benefit of parents who really helped me understand and learn empathy. And I think that goes back to what both Leslie and Rachel were saying about wanting to be sure that our service is provided with dignity and compassion and with love. And I would say that the hardest thing, Jeanette, about what we do is when we have to say no. And we say no, at least at Beam, predominantly because of geography. Our service area is rather small. We have expanded to provide eligibility to people who work at the beach, because we know that rents are driving away a lot of the people that the quality of our lives depend on. And so we do invite people who don't live at the beach at this point, but who are employed by a beaches-based employer. But we do find that the strength of our organization is our small footprint, but it also means that there's many who hear about us, but are not within our live or work area. And it's a shame that there aren't lots of Beams everywhere, because the work is incredible, but the need is great.
I agree with Lori. The hardest part is saying no. You know, whether it's, you know, it's because of geography, because of time, space limitations, when you run out of things, because we know that when we turn someone away, we are their last resort for an acceptable way, a socially acceptable way to obtain food. And to say no, it's just heartbreaking.
So our biggest reason for having you on is so that we can join and support you in any way we can, and through our memberships, because people want to help each other. And we're honored to have you. And Elizabeth, I'll give it to you.
Well, thank you all for coming, and I feel like we've had you all speaking at double speed to get through our time. If you have more concrete and immediate thoughts about ways we can help, both volunteering and donating and advocacy, please, you've gotten only about 1,000 emails from us confirming this. So let us know. We communicate with the membership at least weekly, and I'm happy. I will see to it that they know about the Mission House event coming up, and we'll do what we can with that. But thank you so much for giving us this time and for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank
Wonderful to be
you for
with you.
having
Thank
us.
you.
For everyone else, just signing off, I want to be sure you know about our June meeting. We have a very, I think, yes, there's a slide coming up. If you don't know about the Riverfront Parks Now initiative, it's a really interesting and exciting citizen-driven grassroots effort. League of Women Voters, Urban League, Sierra Club, St. John's River Keepers, Duvon Audubon, a lot of different groups are involved in trying to create momentum for the idea that wouldn't it be nice to have a riverfront master plan that starts over at the landing and goes all the way back over to Metropolitan Park and takes into account both climate change, rising waters, and making the city just a far more attractive city with a waterfront like other grown-up cities where the waterfront is exciting. This is in its early stages, but interesting and something I'm thinking we'd all like to know about before the Jags come out with their next proposal for which chunk of the waterfront to do something interesting with, which may be also a good idea, but this is a more comprehensive approach. So we have these two speakers coming to tell us about it, and I hope everyone will join us. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you in June.